So let's get started. The first thing we need to do is to create our card base. And so if you can see on this card, my card base is the colored cardstock. And so I'm going to go ahead and I want to start with a piece that measures 4 1/4 by 9 inches. And these measurements will be on the video afterwards when I upload it to YouTube. But it's really just if you start with the long cut in half, there's 4 1/4 by 11, and I only want 4 1/4 by 9. So I'm going to trim this down to the 9-inch mark. And then I'm going to score at my normal place 5 1/2. And so there is my card base. Go ahead, bring in my bone folder, just so it lays a little bit flatter. So there's the card base. And then you're going to need some white layers. Let me set this aside for just a second so I can get my white layers out. And for your white layers, you're going to need 2 layers that are 4 1/8 by 3 3/8. So I'm going to start with my 4 1/8 cut here. And I need 2 of them that measure 3 3/8. So there's 1. And there's another one. And then I also need 1 strip of 4 1/8 by 1 7/8. Okay, so these are all the white pieces that I need. So let me show you where they go on the card. So these 2 that look exactly alike, one is going on the outside little piece, and one is going to go on the inside. This other one is also going to go, it's not really an inside, it's just that back flap. It's going to go just like that. Okay, so you've got a 2-panel look here. And I can actually adhere those now. Go ahead, might as well. And I'm going to go ahead and get out my Stampin' Seal tonight. And some people have had some issues with Stampin' Seal. What I've discovered, much to my delight, because I was one having some issues, is that you don't have to press hard with this. If you just use a light touch, it works great. And it's nice and sticky. It's not going to fall apart on you. So I want to adhere it so that it's about the same border all the way around. Here we go. And then I'm going to adhere this little one while I am dealing with the front one, so I can get that all lined up to match the front. So again, I'm looking at the border and I'm looking to make sure that it's lined up across the bottom. And there we go with that one. And then for this inside one, I think I might stamp on this inside one, so I'm going to hold off on that one for right now. And then we need some of the Designer Series paper. So let me move this out of the way for a second. So I'm going to bring in this beautiful paper. This is, I don't know which is my favorite, this particular sheet or this particular sheet. I love them both. I guess I don't have to choose, right? So for the Designer Series paper, I need 1 piece that measures 3 1/8 by 3 7/8, and one that measures 1 5/8 by 3 7/8. So since 3 7/8 is the common denominator there, I'm going to cut that way first. And then I need it 3 7/8 by 3 1/8. And then the 3 7/8 by 1 5/8. You know, if I were a homeschool mom, which I'm not because my kids are grown, this crafting method, stamping, is great for teaching measurements, for teaching how to use a ruler. It's so good. Such a good skill. And so these are just going to get mounted onto here. Now you can do it just like this so that they're the same on both sides. Or you can flip one of them around, which I'm going to do. And I can see right now that it looks like my blueberries are upside down, so I'm going to put them this way. So this is how I'm going to adhere them. Might as well do that now. This card goes together actually quite quickly. And again, I just want to take the time to make sure that all my borders are roughly equal. And then I'm going to add this one as well. And if you use the Tombow glue, the green glue, you have a little bit more time to get a little fussy with the measurements. It's a little bit more forgiving when you put things down. But there's the card base. Pretty quick and simple. Now, even if you don't get this stamp set and this paper, this idea works for all the designer series paper that we have. And all you need is a basic sentiment. So I've used the Berry Blessings here, stamp set, and the Berry Delightful paper, but any of my stash will work, which is very exciting because my goal this year is to use up a lot of my retired stuff. Because once I've cleaned out some of my drawers, that means I can order more. So now we need this oval. And so the oval comes from one of my favorites. I've used it plenty of times, my Stitched Shapes dies. And in your Stitched Shapes dies, you get squares, and you get ovals, and you get circles. And it puts a nice stitching around them. And so I'm going to use this largest oval here and get out my Big Shot. Oh, I called it by the wrong name. It's not a Big Shot anymore. My Stampin' Cut and Emboss. I don't know how long I had my Big Shots. I had a couple of them over the years. Mostly because of classes. I had my original for probably 15 years. That's probably how long Stampin' Up's been carrying it. So breaking that habit of calling it Big Shot is going to be hard for me. So again, because I'm using the dies, my platform tells me I need a number 1 plate, which is this base plate, and then I need a number 2, and then it needs a 3, and that's on top of the 3 is where your cardstock goes, and your die, face down, and then you need a number 3 on top. And so we're going to just run this through. Okay, and again, one of the nice things about this one is this folds up nice and compactly. So now here I have my stitched shape oval. And, oh, see this little heart? I punched out a lot of hearts and made a little shaker card. And the other day I was taking a photo for my Facebook page and I hit the container of hearts and they went everywhere. It was awful. I still haven't cleaned it up, but I did laugh about it. So, all right, let me put my die away here. Let me put my Big Shot or my Stampin' Cut and Emboss stuff away. So now I have this oval ready to go, ready to stamp on. So I'm going to get my stamp set out, the Berry Blessings set. And I'm going to be using a couple different colors here. I need to also protect my surface, even though it washes pretty clean. I'm going to get out the blueberry leaves. So I always start with the outline stamps first. And I know I'm going to need the blueberries. Oh, you know what? Before I stamp the berries, I need to actually stamp the greeting because that's the most important part of this card. So this saying says, "You always have a way of making my day." Just a nice sentiment to send to a friend. I'm going to get my Pacific Point pad out, ink it up, and here we go. Hopefully it's fairly straight on there. Looks like my Pacific pad could probably use a little bit of re-inking, but it's fine because the blueberries in here are range from light to dark anyway. So that's done, and I need to clean that. I don't have my chamois. I didn't wet my chamois in advance. I was too busy dining at the main diner. Dashed back here to get here in time. So now what did I do with my other stamp? Here we go. So we're going to put the blueberry leaves back on there. I'm going to try to figure out how I want this. I don't want it to get in the way really of my words, so I'm going to stamp with the shaded spruce because that was the darker color. And I think I'm going to actually stamp it like this. So it's partially on and it's partially off. And the blueberries are going to be partially on and partially off as well, obviously. I'll close that ink pad up. Let me get the Night of Navy out for my outline of my blueberries. And these two larger ones, I'm going to have to get my head in the way, I think, here, so I can see over it. They line up right there, or thereabouts. So you can just see that it's going off. I missed it a little bit. Again, I can't see. I don't want to get my head in the camera, so sorry about that. Now I just need to color these in, and this is a two-step Stampin' set. So in order to do that, I've already got the stamps in the stamp set. Let me just clean my blocks again. Let's see. So I could actually just stay with my shaded spruce, and to put a little bit of a lighter color in here, just ink it up and then stamp off my paper. I could do that, but I'm actually going to use Granny Green full strength here. So I'm going to ink it up, and I'm going to line it up again. Oh, it's a little tricky when you're not right over it. But these are watercolory looks anyways, so even if you didn't stamp exactly inside, you'd be okay. But that looks great. Kind of impressed with myself. Doesn't always work out that way. And then I'm going to take the blueberry insides, that second set, ink that up in Pacific Point, the lighter of the two blues that I've been using. And these are, these photopolymer stamps are a little bit of the distinctive kind, which means that they're meant to shade automatically a bit. So I'm just gonna see if I can pop in this right over here. Okay, and so I just have, let me move this out of the way so you can see it a little bit better. There I have my greeting with my blueberries. You know what I should have done as I was doing this? I should have stamped the inside so that I could have that going and not have to clean my stamps again. But you know what? I didn't do that, so... And now I think I've lost my inside, which you know what I bet I did? I bet my inside is what I actually cut my oval out of. That wasn't very good planning. All right, so this is how my oval is going to go. And I can choose now to keep it like this. I'm going to pop it up on dimensionals. If I want to have a little bit of an accent in the background, I could take my Granny Apple green paper and let's see, let's cut maybe 1 inch wide. And let's go ahead and maybe do 5 inches. So I could give it this little, just something to set it off the cardstock a little bit. This will stand out a little bit more. Maybe even make it a little more interesting by flagging the ends. And the way I flag my ends is I cut into the center and then I go from each point to that center cut. And so I have a nice little flag on one end. And then I try to do the same thing on the other end. Go from the center. Sometimes I hit it, sometimes I don't. Here we go. So now we have that nice little flag. Now, one thing you want to be careful of is you don't want to adhere it to the whole front, because remember, this has to open. So I'm just going to put some on one side here. Go. And then I'm going to use my dimensionals. And again, I don't want to put dimensionals. Well, I can put a dimensional over here now because the green will be right there. On my other card, that was not the case. So, put a bunch of dimensionals on here. Kind of looking like I might have stamped my oval a little bit crooked in my greeting, my oval. I think I did, which means this is going to be slightly off, but you get the idea. And so there's the basis of my card. If I want to stamp the inside, I'm going to have to recut that layer, I think, because I used the other one. So I need a 4 1/8 layer by 3 3/8. I should have just stamped it at the start like I had planned to do originally. So we want to decorate the inside a little bit because, you know, you don't want a naked inside. It's always much more pleasant to see something going on. So let's go ahead and get my leaves back out. Let's see, we did that in shaded spruce, right? And this time I'm going to keep my whole image on the paper, but I want to, you know what, we're going to stamp it up at the top this time, I think. And you'll have this space to write in. Probably shaking the camera when I clean these stamps. And let me go ahead and get my berries out again and use my navy to stamp on that. Again, I'm going to just come in here. I'm going to pop my head over the top. Sorry. All right, so I've got my blueberries on there. I think I probably needed to move them over a little bit so that this blueberry was actually not behind the leaf. But you know what? It's homemade. It's made with love. That's all that matters, right? I did not stamp this card in advance. Usually I stamp all the cards that I do in advance just to make sure I can figure out what I'm doing ahead of time. As you can see, it's probably a good idea for me to do that. But we don't always do that when we're stamping off camera, so why should we do it when we're on camera? So I'm going to go ahead and get my Granny Apple Green back and ink it up and stamp over these leaves. And photopolymer stamps are really great because you can really see where you're stamping. And again, it was off a little bit, but it's okay because even the paper has a watercolor look, and watercolor is almost universally outside the lines because it's hard to control the flow of real water. So if you really have watercoloring that you're doing, then it's more apt to be outside the lines anyways. And so the last thing I need to do is stamp my blueberries. And figure out where they go. There's my blueberries on the inside. If I wanted, there's another saying in here that says bountiful blessings or wishing you the very best. But I think I just want a little bit of a space. I want enough space to write something. So I'm going to just leave it like that. And line this up. And there's your card. Now, one of the things that you can do to take this up a step is we can add some twine. That was, you can see how I did that here, and it looks like I've used some green twine. I actually used our linen thread, and our linen thread looks like this. So it's a, you know, got a natural look to it. But I'm just going to add some green. And let me show you how I'm doing that. I'm using my Stampin' Blends to do that. You're getting all sorts of hints and tricks tonight. And I'm going to use this is from my donkey class. It's just a scrap that I punched out. So I'm just going to hold one end here, hold it down with one end, and I'm going to use the side of my Stampin' Blend to color it. And then I'll try to roll it over a little bit and get the other side. And I'm using the Granny Apple Green dark one, I think. And then I got to do the other end, which I already started to last night. And then I thought, oh no, I need to show them how to do it. So it takes a little bit to dry, not very long at all, because these are alcohol markers, and so alcohol just dries pretty quickly. And you don't have to have a solid color. You don't have to take so much time to make sure it's absolutely perfect. But let's set that aside for just a second. And the other thing that would make this really fun and nice are some rhinestones. Because who doesn't like some bling on a card, right? So I'm going to take my Take Your Pick tool. And let's put some, oh, I got a piece of fuzzy hair somewhere. Let's put one up here. And let's put another one maybe here. And let's try a bigger one. Usually I use the wider end of my Take Your Pick tool. Right here. Again, rule of threes, you want to have an odd number of those kind of accessories. Just somehow, for some reason, is more pleasing to the eye. And now, yeah, it seems like this is dry enough. And so what we're going to do is just tie a little bow. And play with it till you get it like you want it. And then you need a mini glue dot. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to expose one of these mini glue dots, and I'm just going to roll it up on itself because my twine is very thin. So I just need a little thin part. I want to hide it as much as possible without touching it if possible. And just add it right here or add it anywhere to your card. And there's the finished product. Let me get this out of the way so you can see it. What do you think? Doesn't this make you just think, oh, summer is right around the corner? which it sort of is. We're kind of in fake spring right now, I think. So faux spring, fake spring, whatever you want to say. So here are the two versions. This linen thread is darker because I had used this shaded spruce, I think, on it. But so, hey, who's gonna get one of these cards? I'm keeping this card, sorry. I like the raspberries. I like the blueberries too, but the raspberry really is my favorite one. So who's gonna get this blueberry card? Well, it's gonna be one of you. You have to pick a number between 1 and 100. So the person that is closest, and it's okay, you can go over, but the person that is closest to my number, which I have written down over here, let's see, over there, the person that is closest will be sent this card, and I won't write in it. You'll be able to write in it on your own, but I will send it to you. So I see one guess in there. Diana's going with 64. While I'm waiting, I think I'll just clean up. And I'm going to be stamping a little bit more this weekend. I'm not sure quite what I'm going to make yet. I have been stamping lots of cards for people at church. We send them out periodically. And so my count for the year since we've started doing this, we're coming up on the year anniversary. My count is somewhere over 3,300. So I've stamped a lot, and it's been so, honestly, it's been so amazing. It's given me a new love of stamping. Not that I lost it, I just, I just wasn't finding the time, and now I get to make the time, and I get to make a lot of cards. It's been lots of fun. All right, so Sheila's guessed 46. So let's see, Vivian, Nancy, are you guys gonna take a guess? And let me know what you're going to go with for a number. Again, this is the Berry Blessings set that we used. One of the things I'm gonna let you in on a sneak peek of an email that's going to be coming on March 1st. I'm going to be introducing a class of the month, and it's I haven't quite figured out if that's what I'm going to name it, because that's kind of boring, but it's going to be basically a customer appreciation class. So anybody that places an order with me of at least $30 during a month will have that class sent to them. And you're not going to have any supplies or anything. It's just going to be the class, but you're going to know what set I'm using. It's going to feature at least 3 cards, and I'll let you know ahead of time. And if you like the set ahead of time, you could certainly purchase it as part of your $30, but you'll be able to take what I'm showing you and translate it to other sets, obviously. So it's just great for ideas anyway, but you're certainly welcome to get some of the supplies in advance as well if you think it's going to be something that's on your list and you haven't yet purchased it. And I'm also going to be announcing later in the month a ribbon share, and that's totally separate. So a ribbon share is when I order a bunch of different ribbon, and I split it into 2-yard increments and give you 2 yards of, say, each of 5 different ribbons. So that's a great way to get a sampling of all the ribbons without having, 10 yards. And, I don't know if you're like me, but I have loads of ribbon left over because I just don't use 10 yards of any one ribbon. So I'm going to be talking about a ribbon share in my email on Monday as well, so stay tuned for that. So I don't know, Nancy might have gotten off, and that's why I'm not seeing a number from her, but the winning number here, 96 was the number, so that means that Diana, you will be getting these blueberries in the mail this week. So I'm going to go ahead and turn me back around Oops. So thank you for joining me this week. Oh, the glare is terrible. Thank you for joining me tonight, and I hope you had fun. I hope Sale-a-bration has been great for you, and that you're using the stamps and supplies that you've purchased and having lots of fun with them. Be sure to join me next week. Not sure what I'm going to be doing yet, but I believe, and I've had a special request by Sheila to show some of the succulents. So I'm going to be using the succulent set next week, and it's a great set. So join me, and I can't wait to stamp with you again next Friday. Have a good night, everybody.